Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 1932 Northwest Mercia Street here in McMinnville, located at or straight out from the front door. I describe everything as if you're standing in the street facing the front of the house. Just beyond this very first step here, you've got a 4-inch PVC cleanout that hides underneath a little brass plate like that for condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We're going to zero out the foot counter here at the base of the cleanout. And off we go. And at the end, when the line is all drained off, we'll reverse direction and run backwards into the house. We'll at least get through the foundation wall, check for settling issues going through that, and pretty much everything beyond that point is fully exposed in the crawl space. You don't need a camera for that stuff, but if you have a reason to go further back, we will. All right, we're swapping over here to 3034 PVC pipe. We're going to take a second look at this pipe joint on the way out here. A little bit of shifting has taken place. You've got somewhat of an offset there, about a 1/4 inch. In the world of offset, I've been doing this for 13 years. That is not the largest offset joint by any stretch of the imagination. But it is brand new construction. Ideally, we like these things to look brand new and function brand new. An offset of that size right there has very, very little chance of ever causing a flow problem unless the line is heavily abused. Anything you could get to stop up on a lip that tiny and cause a blockage and a backup would have almost nothing to do with the lip at all. Generally speaking, it would have to be something abusive, big ball of paper towel, something like that. But the other concern is when they're brand new like this, and I guess what I'm getting to is for settling issues. Typically speaking, most settling issues occur almost immediately after a line is buried. Sometimes they'll continue to settle for maybe a week or so, but most of the settling happens almost immediately. From time to time, though, I will catch them being progressive, and that's the one thing. If this were like a 5-10-year-old house, I would hardly even be talking about that offset. It's just not a significant one. But sometimes these will progress. They've been in the ground for such a short period of time, we don't know if it's still in a state of settling. So anyway, we're going to revisit that here on the way out. We'll locate, see where it's at. For instance, if that thing is under a driveway where you're going to have a big weird patch in your driveway, even for new construction, I'm not entirely sure that makes sense to go and mess up the appearance of your driveway over a joint that, will not affect functionality in any way, shape, or form unless the line's abused, or if it progresses and gets worse. And so at the very least, what I recommend is rescoping just before the warranty is up, about 9 months into a 1-year warranty. You want to give the line a chance to sit for a little while. If it's going to settle, you're going to definitely see it in that span of time, and then you're going to get a better view of things at that point. So anyway, we'll come back to that here in a moment. We do have some settling here at the end of the sewer line too, albeit it's a fairly minor belly. And the plus side in McMinnville, unless something's changed recently, generally everything in the street, it's either from the street edge out or from the right-of-way out, falls into city responsibility. So, and this is not a belly that is a scary one by any stretch of the imagination either. All said and done, that's probably going to drain out to somewhere between a 1/16 and a 1/4 inch of standing water. For reference, I don't even consider repairs, especially in plastic pipe, 4-inch diameter, even more so, until you have at least 1 inch of standing water for 5 feet. That's static with no water running at all. And even at that point, it's still 80–90% up to the homeowner as to whether it ever manifests itself. And by that, I mean abusing the line. So we'll come back to that here in a second. We're going to go locate, let the line drain out, and we'll take another look at everything. All right, located the camera head successfully. Line terminates out here on Northwest Mercia Street. Where I just took that locate, if you stand there and face the house, that locate comes in right in line with the left side edge of the driveway. So your belly here persists up to just shy of the main. Just for the sake of making it easy, we're going to call it 56 feet. It stops just barely shy of that. And as you can see here, the standing water is almost non-existent. We had a little bit of it persisting up further than that. Dimensions of it have actually changed slightly. Okay, actually it's more like 53 feet. Originally it looked like it went a little bit further than that. Yeah, that I can hardly even call that thing a belly. It is so tiny. I mean, at its worst, you might have a 32nd of an inch there of water. And that belly spans, I mean, maybe 3.5, 4 feet of pipe. It's about from 49 feet to 39 feet. That is not, don't even bother sending that to the city. They will not even consider that as far as doing a fix on it. And nor should you. There's no reason to do anything with that. The only thing that you'll get consistently hanging up, and it does not matter how much standing water it is, that thing's tiny enough. I mean, you might as well call that a piece of pipe that drains off proper, but the one thing that does always hang up in standing water consistently is cooking oil and grease. It cools down and hardens up with water, but it floats to the top of the water and will kind of start sticking to the sidewalls. That belly there is so tiny that I don't know that you'd hardly see any difference at all in grease concentration, and that's not something that should go down your line to begin with. All right, we'll get back in here and take a look at the offset. Mostly right now, I want to see where this thing is positioned at, where it's located on the property. So on that outside turn there, it looks a little more substantial than it actually is. If you back up here and you look in where the actual flow line is, right in the middle of the flow line, the joint there is almost flush. The green and white PVC are almost flush right in the middle. It's just on this outside edge here where you've got about it just hits the base of the camera lens, which sits almost exactly 1/4 inch off the bottom of the pipe. So I'm going to go locate where this is really quick here, but that one is too minor in my opinion, even for new construction, to recommend a repair. But I do highly recommend you rescope it just before the warranty is up to make sure nothing continues to shift here. Yeah, we are under the driveway here. And the driveway's got a little bit of a curvature to it. The locate lined up fairly well at the left side edge, but the driveway does not run in a straight line. So where the camera is situated right now, for instance, is probably a good 3 feet or more in from that left side edge. By the time you hit the main, it lines up very nicely with the left side edge. This spot is located right underneath the driveway, squared immediately to the right of the cleanout. Anyway, about the only thing I would ever expect to see hanging up there, you might get a scrap of toilet paper here and there that actually gets caught on it for a moment. But as far as blocking goes, you would have to abuse that thing like no tomorrow to ever get to that point. You got a big 4-inch line here. 4-inch diameter pipe is my favorite diameter. It handles volume very nicely. So right now we are going backwards. Right here we are swapping over to ABS plastic, and this vertical we're going up right here, if you're going the other direction, this is the dive as the line dives down to exit out of the house. Now at this point here we are back through the foundation wall. Everything's looking good going back through the foundation. No settling issues. And even if I wanted to, that set of turns right there is so tricky to get the camera through. It's just pinching the camera too hard to go ramming through that. And it looks like we're making a diameter change here as well. It looks like you're going from 3-inch to 4-inch pipe right there. We're going to go ahead and reel the camera out of the line. As we sit here today, we have good flow all the way to the main lateral connection. All the issues I pointed out, both the offset and that tiny little belly, neither of which have, I mean, they essentially have no bearing on the sewer line's functionality at all. They're just too tiny to do anything. even under abusive scenarios. You know, for instance, not that you should put things like wipes down your line or paper towels. You would have to flush something large enough that it would block the entire sewer line long before it made it to that offset to ever get a blockage at the offset. It would take something that significant to match driveway over something that minor. But I would recommend that be corrected. If we see, you know, compare and contrast the thing 9 months or so from now, and let's say it goes from a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, I would indeed recommend it be repaired at that point, because at that point you don't know if it's going to continuously shift and get to a point where it's going to turn into a 1 inch or more offset or something like that. I think it's unlikely. 9.9 times out of 10 when I come back about a year later on these, I've done probably a good, probably just shy of 1,000 rescopes on brand new construction alone. Very, very few of them progressively shift, but I do catch a handful of them from time to time that do, and those are definitely worth, you know, catching. Anyway, sewer line is functioning properly at this time. Everything is buttoned up. That joint that's offset there is very much sealed up. There's no signs it's open to the ground. I wouldn't expect to see any with that little of settling taking place there.